For T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have to go from ready to start. 2, 1, 0. Booster ignition and liftoff of.
What a launch into this evening. Hello and welcome to this semester's MPD Design Fair.
For the first time in a virtual setting.
The Design Fair marks the end of the product development course at CDTM. It is here that after 12 weeks of hard work, our students for the very first time present their products. To arrive here, they've been spending their entire semester, 6 teams comprised of 28 students, identifying industry-relevant problems, iteratively defining solutions to them, and ultimately implementing 6 innovative products. Tonight, you will be the first ones to see those products.
The semester has been different to previous semesters. Surely you've all faced the challenges and uncertainties the current situation brings. We started off the MPD thinking we'll run a few virtual sessions and then move back to a normal setting. Well, here we are at a virtual design fair. Nevertheless, here at CDTM, we want to continue keeping our vision, connect, educate, and empower the innovators of tomorrow. Connect by bringing all of you together here tonight and with the help of many students and alumni behind the scenes. Educate by not only seeing the challenges the situation brings, but also by seeing the opportunities this virtual setting brings. And then finally, empower. Empower the students to come up with the best possible products and to make this their very own design fair. Of course, by keeping all precautionary measures in place. Now, Michael, do you want to guide us through this evening?
Surely some of you are wondering, can a virtual design fair really live up to the standard the previous ones have set? How would you pull that off? Well, let me tell you. In the next 100 minutes, you will see 6 product pitches. After them, you will sure have some questions, so there will be time for Q&A to address them. After each pitch, there will be a 5-minute window. You can ask your questions in the Slido chat window over at www.cdtm.de/livestream. In case you're watching on YouTube or from other social media platforms, we would invite you to join the conversation there. As in previous semesters, each team was supported by a project partner who framed the initial problem statement and provided guidance throughout the semester. After the Q&A ends, they will have their chance to share their perspective on working with the teams and the product that came out of it. For those who have more questions after the live stream ends, we have something special prepared for you. Each team has a unique landing page explaining their product. But in addition to that, we will open up virtual sessions, one for each team, where you can ask in-depth questions and discuss their business model, their product, or just their experience during the semester. The access credentials for both the virtual sessions and the landing page will be available at www.cdtm.de/livestream after the live stream ends.
Okay, now enough from us. Let's get started with those product pitches. Our first team partnered together with their project partner Forto and is on a mission to make the logistics industry more sustainable. Let's see what they propose.
Do you know how much your shoes weigh? It's round about 1 kilogram. Now, let's put them into a box and send them from China to Munich. The CO2 emissions caused by their transportation amount to nearly half of the shoe's own weight. That's like getting an extra shoe, only that this one would be made entirely of CO2. The global shipping industry heavily relies on fossil fuels, making it one of the hardest industries to decarbonize. Thereby, global shipments are a major contributor to climate change, and its emissions are even expected to increase fourfold until 2050. Time is pressing. We have to take action now.
This is why we need to compensate the emissions that we cannot reduce right now. Compensating, that means balancing out greenhouse gases through funding sustainability projects, for example, by planting trees. But who is responsible to take action? We are not here to blame. We believe it is the responsibility of everyone. And in fact, end customers increasingly seek products and services that are more sustainable. But most of the time, the demand remains unmet. This is where we help. We are Carbonaid. We enable businesses to calculate and compensate the logistics emissions of any product. Finally, businesses are given the necessary tool to take climate action right now.
How do we make that possible? Carbonaid is based on a programming interface. That way, any business can seamlessly integrate it into their digital services. Thereby, end customers can directly see the logistics emissions of the products. By simply selecting a tick box during checkout, the end customer can compensate those emissions. With that, climate action comes at no extra work, neither for the business nor for their customers. The customer experience is as convenient as ever. But besides being convenient, we believe that climate action has to be accountable. That's why we use scientifically approved standards as the foundation of our calculations.
To show you how versatile Carbonaid is, I will now guide you through two of our implemented use cases. First, let me introduce Forto, a logistics company that allows businesses to book freight shipments around the globe. Let's take a look at how Forto's platform is leveraging Carbonaid. After selecting the route from China to Germany, we get a list of offers. Thanks to our adaptive solution, Forto can now also display the emissions caused by a shipment. Proceeding to checkout, a simple line of text was added, allowing to set a checkmark and directly compensate the caused emissions. With this implementation in place, Forto does not just raise awareness for sustainability, but also enables their customer to take real climate action. Of course, with a logistics partner, Carbonaid can use precise data, such as the exact route and mode of transport. But what if this data is not available? This brings us to our second use case, a regular online store. With only the data that is available on the product page, we use state-of-the-art machine learning models and product-specific logistics data to make the most accurate emissions estimate possible. And again, allow for compensation with just a single click. Even with this little data, we enable and encourage responsible climate action in a way that wasn't possible before.
Being trustworthy is crucial for our business. That's why we place a high value on transparency. You can see this reflected in our pricing. We only charge a small handling fee if an actual compensation is made. And depending on how a business wants to position itself, it can either carry this fee itself or hand it over to its customers. By charging per compensation, we tie our economic success to the positive impact we have. But let's take a look at how big of an impact that could be. We tackle the market for carbon compensation services in European e-commerce. Its size is mainly determined by the number of online purchases made and the share of people that is willing to compensate those. We end up with a market of around 134 million euros. The share that we aim to capture after 3 years would give us annual revenues of 3.5 million euros. But these revenues would also mean that we compensate the emissions of the whole country of Liechtenstein. So, we hope we got you excited about carbon compensation. And now we want to give you the chance to test our product yourself. Visit carbonaid.world and buy one of our limited goodies. But before you check out, don't forget to press the compensation button. Thank you very much, and we are now happy to take your questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Team Carbonaid, for your pitch. We are now starting the Q&A, and we have a very first question from the audience. Question from Galadriel, who's asking how much euros would that compensation be for a shoe, for example, for an Adidas sneaker? Okay, I think we are facing some technical difficulties with our Q&A. We practiced it quite a lot, but more difficult than we thought it will be. But I mean, doing these sort of things is all about uncertainties, I guess. I mean, Micha, do you want to tell the story of our recording days and the construction side?
Well, in fact, that's not the first time we faced a technical issue while recording these pitches. Just the other day, when we were starting recording, we're here at Plug and Play. We rented out the room to have enough space to actually record everything while maintaining the necessary safety precautions. And just as we were about to start recording, on a floor below us, construction works started. And let me just say, drilling noise doesn't make for very good audio recording quality. But don't ask me how. Some CDTM students went down there, and after 10 minutes, they came back up, and yeah, we could start recording with certain pauses in between, so the construction workers could be drilling. So dealing with uncertainties and technical issues is something we're quite familiar with.
Well, but I guess the virtual setting sometimes also comes with its advantages. When we started off giving sessions virtually, we were kind of a bit unsure how well this will work. But as I said, we saw some advantages there as well, which I mentioned earlier as well, where you kind of have instead of Post-its, have something which you can save. So, for example, we used Miro boards, which is a very good interactive tool to facilitate workshops, and that worked very well for us. What was also great was to have the teams, when they were giving their milestones, so like midterm presentations, giving feedback to each other in a Slack channel. So just starting threads to give feedback. And that helped the teams to collect feedback more efficiently than you could do in a normal setting.
It seems like we have ongoing technical issues. Are we good to go, or so? Then we're good to go? You ready? All right, then I would say let's continue with the Q&A. Maybe, Tessa, you can repeat our very first questions from the audience.
Did we get the first question, or first question? Okay, perfect. Let's do the first question again. So we had a question from Galadriel to the team. How much euros would that compensation be for a shoe, for example, for an Adidas sneaker?
All right. So you've seen the example that we had in the video. That was a Nike sneaker in that example. That depends. If it comes by air, that is upwards of €1. If it comes by sea, that is substantially lower in the single-digit cents area. I hope that covered your question.
So the second question from the audience is, how specific does the transportation data need to be? Beyond the length of the ship's path, can you accommodate for differences in the ship's CO2 efficiency?
All right. Since we get the data of the ship path, and since we give the number in advance, we cannot know what ship it is going to be. That's why it's an estimate for the route. That doesn't specifically say which ship, but then again, they're all pretty similar. So this is pretty accurate.
The next question goes back to the initial question we had, how much money will be compensated for Shu? And the question is where the money for compensation goes. Some percentage goes to the company, but what about the rest of the money?
Yeah, so except a small handling fee that goes to us, all the rest of the payment goes to one of our trusted partners that supports sustainability projects with this money. This could either be planting trees or supporting more sustainable energy projects. Stuff like that. So it could either be actively a project that actively pulls CO2 out of the atmosphere, or that prevent future CO2 from being emitted. Yeah, and we forward the money for those projects to one of our partners, usually NGOs. Yeah.
And the final question for this Q&A: what is the target persona for your product?
Yeah, so basically we are targeting two different businesses here. On the one hand, we have basically small web shops that are really having sustainability at its core. And here we really enable them to position themselves more sustainable and really provide their end customers the opportunity to compensate. But also on the other side, we have more business-driven companies who do not really see the business opportunity in positioning themselves more sustainable yet. These companies we are also targeting to really show them that positioning themselves more sustainable can actually help them to increase their conversion rate.
Great, thank you for all your questions. Now we would like to welcome our first project partner of the evening, Forte. We got Eric Muttersbach here, who's Chief Technology Officer, and we also got Nina Göntgen, who is Head of Pricing and Finance. We're excited to hear what they have to say to the team.
Hi everyone, thanks for having us today, and greetings from Berlin. So overall, I can first of all congratulate the team on a really fantastic product demo and amazing product. I'm super excited about the whole thing. So also for us, the collaboration throughout the last 3 months was really amazing. We were very lucky to have such interested and motivated students. And I can really say that the project for us also was a true success. We were able to really implement an MVP, which otherwise might have taken much, much longer. And the product itself brings us transparency, which we can use to increase awareness for our customers, and also the possibility to immediately offset their carbon footprint. So actually create an action out of it. And also in terms of overall output of the project, I can really say we received great research, super nice presentations, and the product. So we're really, really happy with the results and the project overall. Eric, over to you.
Yeah, great. I can thank you, Nina. I can just second that. I think being a CDTM alumni from spring class 2013, so really old. I would just say this is again a great example of CDTM power. We are really, really happy with the result. I think the team showed an amazing drive and commitment, but also really good creativity. We are at a point where we are evaluating how we can really use that also in the future for the company, because sustainability is one of the key parts also of our mission, and we want to make sure that shipping, which is a key contributor to CO2 emissions, becomes more sustainable, and that is definitely a key part for us in that. So guys, thank you very much for the great job. It was a fun time working with you. Really good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Now, we know this was a bit of a rocky start to our Q&A. We hope to improve this for the next Q&A sessions, but for all those who still have questions left, we would highly encourage you to join the virtual sessions later on, which will be held in Zoom, so you can directly ask the team members the questions. Now, after learning from how logistics data can be used to improve and facilitate more sustainable supply chains, we now move to our second team, who together with their project partner RV Medical tackled a problem we are all very familiar with ourselves.
Waiting. It sucks, right? Remember the last time you were at the doctor's? You sit there, you wait. You hear someone coughing. Corona? You don't know. You wait. Why? You don't know. But we do. In medical practices, the current scheduling methods are failing. Because of delays, the doctor runs behind schedule. When updating that schedule, the medical assistant is overwhelmed by work, and patients cannot be informed about every change, so they stay in the dark. But we achieve what most said to be impossible. By accounting for uncertainties, the doctor stays on schedule. By automating the scheduling process, the medical assistant gets ahead at work. And by showing the real-time appointment status, patients are kept in the loop. We are Praxical, the dynamic scheduling solution. We empower doctors and eliminate waiting time.
Let's imagine I wake up in the morning feeling unwell. I want to see my doctor, Dr. Wagner. Instead of calling the practice and having a long back and forth figuring out a suitable time, I go to her Praxical page. So let's book an appointment. I select my reason for visit, acute issue. Based on the selected category, Praxical estimates the duration of appointments. This creates a more realistic schedule that doctors can actually keep up with. Next, I'm offered suitable time slots. I choose the earliest one available. Let's confirm. I'm now all set.
Now let's see what Praxical looks like for Dr. Wagner. In one glance, she knows exactly what her day looks like and has full control over her schedule. She can perform actions on it, and it updates automatically. Also, the daily metrics give her insights on the flow of her patients. Her schedule automatically updates with Jan's appointment, and now it's full for the day. In the afternoon, a patient arrives in the practice with no appointment. The medical assistant deems his situation as urgent, and now he must be fitted into an already full schedule. Usually, this would mean waiting times for the following patients, rushed appointments, and overtime for the medical staff. But with Praxical, the assistant simply adds the emergency, and our algorithm takes care of the rest. Intelligent buffers placed throughout the schedule are replaced by the emergency appointment. This results in a delay of just 10 minutes. The patients up next are also automatically informed.
I get a notification about the delay. I have the option to reschedule, but because I want to see Dr. Wagner today, I confirm. Now I can have 10 more minutes at home, knowing that I will be perfectly in time. Let's say I arrive at the practice. To make my visit as effortless as possible, I can do a self-check-in. With that, my insurance details are forwarded, and I do not have to wait in line at the reception. Praxical shows me now exactly when it is my turn to see the doctor.
Now, it's time for Dr. Wagner's last patient. She looks at Jan's appointment details and his medical history and then calls him in. Her day went smoothly despite unexpected emergencies. The wait time for patients was also minimal, as she can tell from the metrics. Dr. Wagner and her assistants do not have to work overtime.
To sum it up, we minimize delays and workload in practices while increasing patient satisfaction. So what does Praxical cost? We created a very simple pricing strategy for our software solution. In our subscription model, every doctor pays 99 euros per month. But now, let's have a look at our market. In Germany, there are 160,000 doctors working in practices. We address 70% of those doctors with our solution. The price that is currently charged in the market is 126 euros per doctor and per month. With that, the core market we tackle is worth 170 million euros. The medical practice market is still barely digitalized, but in the coming years, a large share of practices will be handed over to younger doctors, so there's a great potential to innovate this market now.
However, scheduling inefficiencies and waiting times are a universal problem. We envision to become the leading scheduling solution across industries, such as government agencies, repair shops, and cosmetic services. This opens up our market to additional 200,000 customers in Germany alone. Let's have a look at our next steps. After finalizing our product, we need to test it in medical practices together with our industry partner RV Medical. Next year, we will launch Praxical on the German market. After gaining experience in the healthcare system, we will roll out our solution to the other industries. We are highly motivated to tackle every challenge coming up on this journey. We combine expertise in UX design, engineering, marketing, and finance, which will help us to make Praxical the next standard in every medical practice. So, if you are also sick of waiting, make sure to tell your doctor about Praxical now.
Now we have first questions from the audience. Thank you for your pitch, RV Medical, Praxical. Now, Michael wants to know, how are you differentiated from, well, your biggest competitor, Dr. Lip? How are you different?
Great. Thank you very much for this question. Dr. Lip is indeed our largest competitor. However, their focus is mainly on matching the doctor with the patient. So we add value along the complete value chain. And even after booking the appointment, we still create the smart schedule for the doctor and keep the patient in the loop, which in the end minimizes the waiting time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that answer. Now we got another question coming from Peter, which is a bit more on the technical side. And the question is, can your software integrate into commonly used doctor information systems?
Systems. For that, we are developing integrations, and this means that medical data will only be stored in these patient management systems.
The next question is on the topic of data privacy and security aspects. What if patients don't want to share their data with you?
Thanks also for that question. So first of all, we are not storing any medical data. We are only storing appointment metadata and the patient metadata, such as the appointment time, also appointment reason, and we're storing patient name and insurance details. And that way we try to minimize the data that we're collecting from patients. But of course, there's also still a solution to call the practice if people are resistant to enter that online.
And now we got another question. How does your system deal with patients running late? Can this kind of lead to unused time?
Yes, thank you for that question. So actually, for patients comes late, this is something that we have to account for. So we are planning a certain buffer there with the patient, but of course we ask our patients to know if they know they will be running late. That way we can easily plan that ahead with our algorithm.
Now Carrie wants to know, as a patient, do I need to download an app or can I just use it with my phone regularly?
Yeah. Thanks. So we have developed a web application. That means patients do not have to download anything when they want to book an appointment, but can just go to the booking page and book the appointment through that.
Thank you for all your questions and of course the answers. Next up, we would like to invite Christoph Baumeister, Chief Product Officer at AVI Medical, onto the screen to share his experience working with the team. Christoph?
So, first of all, thank you very much for this awesome presentation and also for the very nice project. It was a pleasure to work with you. We're very happy with the outcome. I'm especially impressed because you managed the project very smoothly and it always felt as there were no problems at all, at least at our end. I mean, from my own perspective, I believe there were plenty of problems, but you did a very good job in hiding them from us. So we always had a very professional interaction with you, which we totally appreciated. What's great about your project is that your user research really confirmed that a smarter scheduling approach is most likely the best way to reduce waiting times in practices. And this is super important for us because we plan to go live with our own primary care practices in Germany next year. And reducing waiting times will be one of our core focuses. So we will definitely build upon your results and include it into our services. And they will launch next year. So watch out for AVI Medical. We'll be with you next year.
Thank you very much, Christoph. We're very happy you enjoyed working with the team. Now that we've learned how the life of doctors can be made easier, we'll stick to the theme of system-relevant jobs. Let's have a look at what the next team, together with their project partner Meltego Technologies, has to offer.
There's been a crime. 3 burglaries right here in Munich, and we think they're all connected. As the investigator looking for the suspect, in a movie, I would now assemble a giant wall of evidence like this one. In reality, I use state-of-the-art software to build a digital version of this wall called a graph. Now that I've found some clues, I need to communicate them to my boss. And this is exactly where the problem is. Because currently, investigators have to share screenshots of their investigations. This leads to many misunderstandings, which is something you don't want to have in a criminal investigation. Here comes Sharelook. Sharelook is a tool that allows me to use the analysis I already have and build a story right on top of it to communicate with others. I can now simply share this with Alexis, my boss, who wanted to get an update on our progress.
Christoph is my main investigator, and his task was to go through the cases and look for relationships. So let's take a look at what he found out. We start with a summary of the case, and we look 3 housebreakings in Bogenhausen, nothing new, but they have the same modus operandi. That's why we ask him to look into what could be the connections. From here, I can take a look, and we see that this is a dynamic graph. So Michelle is the same cleaning lady for the 3 homes. But I can also take a look, and she has already an alibi. So she doesn't have the opportunity to make the crimes. In the next point, we see that Christoph went and investigated more the members of the family. We see that 4 out of all the children went to the same school. And looks like 3 of them have a close relationship. They are in a police report from a Corona party, and drugs were involved. Looks like a virus was not the only thing they were looking for. I think it will be important to investigate further into the family. So I'm going to ask Christoph to investigate them and ask for their alibis. Now, if you want to see where these clues lead us, wait until the end of this presentation.
That is what modern communication should look like. You've got data, you analyze it, then comes Sharelook, bridging the gap between data analysis tools and human understanding. Summing up, Sharelook helps quickly comprehend complex data, to combine this data with the underlying story, and to streamline communication processes overall. It took you just 2 minutes to comprehend police investigations of several weeks. Furthermore, data analysts can integrate whatever data they have and tell their story right on top of it. This makes communicating their findings to the respective decision makers really easy. Adding a story point just takes 3 clicks. Finally, handing in such a report simply means to share a link. As simple as that.
But how does Sharelook provide value to other industries? Think about how often complex data needs to be communicated and how much time could be saved through efficient communication. Other industries, such as financial services, consulting companies, and even market research, can also highly profit from telling their data story through Sharelook. Their potential use cases could include the communication of insights from social network analyses, financial transactions, and many more. And even if all of them use different tools to analyze their data, they can use Sharelook to communicate their findings. Now, no matter who you want to communicate to, we have a subscription model for everyone. If you are a hobby detective, you can use our free community edition. If you are a private investigator, you can use our professional version. For companies, we offer a business solution with additional collaboration features. And if your company has security concerns, we offer on-premise hosting with individual customer support.
We offer those 4 subscription models to 300,000 companies that have demand for Sharelook, which is a big market to sell to. To enter into the different market segments, we acquire customers from our partner company Maltego, and then expanding further into each vertical by leveraging the contacts we already have. With this strategy, we will capture 1% market share during the first 3 years, which leaves us with an annual recurring revenue of 7 million euros. Now you might think this is a good business opportunity, but it becomes even better. Sharelook has a huge growth potential as our market is projected to grow around 25% in the next 6 years because graphs are increasingly used for decision-making in a more and more connected world.
Now, let's get back to our case. In the meantime, I found out that one of the family's members has had an affair in the past. If you want to know if that has an influence on the outcome of the case, head over to our website and check it out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Team Sharelook. Now we got the very first question from the audience asking, why do you think communication is more important than data analysis?
Yeah, so very good question. We do think that data analysis is, of course, important. However, when you think about how many people communicate with each other on a daily basis, you're seldomly working on an analysis on your own. You always need to talk to someone else. And this is why we think that this part is missing currently in the market, and that's why we focused on communication.
We have a next question that's on the, I would say, less serious side of things. Someone was wondering, why is there a ladder in the back of your videos? What's the meaning of that? Maybe elaborate on that.
Also, of course, a very good question. The reason is to be found in the host of the live stream, because Micha apparently has a very high affinity towards ladders. So this is why we have it in the background of all our pitches. Gives us a quite industrial feeling.
Now we got another question coming up, and I'm not sure if the team can explain that in 1 to 2 minutes, but let's try. How did you come up with this product?
So the main idea for this product came from insight from our partner. And we ourselves, we didn't have a lot of information
a lot of knowledge of the field and how to manipulate graphs. So it's something that we relate a lot on how to bridge that last step of communication between the investigators working on a graph and the stakeholders involved in it that needs to understand it without high technical knowledge. Thank you for the question.
Okay, perfect. This is it with the Q&A. And now we'd like to welcome Philipp Meyerhofer, who is CEO of Maltego Technologies. And if you don't know, he's also been a former CA. We're really excited to hear what Philipp thinks about the project.
Hi, everyone. It's really good to be with you guys. I hope you guys hear me. Maybe you can give me a quick thumbs up. Excellent. So, well, it's very good to be back in CDTM and MPD presentations. It's somewhat a different format, but I think it's really exciting to see all the results that you guys have been presenting. Thank you to the Sharelook team, which has tackled this project in these very difficult circumstances really in a great way. We are happy with what you guys came up with. For us, it's really important that we complement the expert tool that Maltego is for investigators who do needle in the haystack searches and try to solve the difficult cases that relate to cybercrime. But in the second step, often one has to explain to law enforcement agencies, colleagues, compliance department, etc., how you actually got to the result and how you found the villain. And for that, solutions like you guys came up with, a solution that is easily shareable, which is intuitive where people can join in quickly, is, I think, the next step for communicating around cybercrime incidents. So thank you very much. We'll take this up. We'll be looking forward to hosting you guys with sufficient social distance in our office soon, so that we can get the internal presentation and that we can take up the baton and follow up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Philipp. Also from our side, it was a very interesting experience to learn how data-driven detective work is done in the digital age. Yet, not all companies in Germany have made it to this digital realm. Our project partner, Remberg, works hard to change. Our project partner, Remberg, works hard to change that by offering their customers a solution to digitize their assets. So when the corona pandemic hit beginning of March, another problem became very visible to them. Let's see how our students addressed it.
Imagine the heating at your home breaks down. That means no warm water for cleaning, taking a bath, or showering. And as all of you know, it can take up to 1 week until a craftsman is coming and fixes the issue. Imagine now what it would mean if you would lose $100,000 each hour the issue is not fixed. That's no fake. That happens every day in industry when a machine breaks down. To understand that more in detail, let's have a look at the fixing process. At first, the machine operator has to call a service technician. Identifying the problem via phone is very inefficient. And so in 70% of the cases, the service technician has to travel on-site and inspect the issue more in detail. Once he identified the issue, he might even need an additional expert to help him. This can cause an additional travel. So to sum it up, the fixing process takes a long time, and this makes it costly due to the machine downtime and the many travels of the service technician. That's why we invented Revis. Revis is a video chat solution which makes it possible for every technician to do his service cases remotely. To understand how Revis works in detail, let's go to the shop floor with Chandru.
Thanks, Valentin. I'm excited to show you how Revis works. Let's imagine that you are a machine operator and your CNC milling machine just broke down. That's when you would use Revis to get help from a service technician. First, let's open the app. Here you see the list of service technicians who can fix your machine. You can then place a call with one of them. Once you're connected with the technician, you start explaining that the machine isn't working. Taking advantage of the video call, he can visually inspect the machine in detail. He makes use of the interactive pointer to instruct how to remove the cutting tool from the machine. In a matter of seconds, he recognizes that some of the cutting blades need to be replaced. First, he makes use of the messaging feature to specify the screwdriver that is needed to remove the blade. Next, he freezes the video stream and he uses arrows to point to the specific blades that need to be replaced. That's how Revis works. There was no need for the service technician to arrive and fix the machine. In addition to that, more experts would have been invited into the same call in case one service technician wouldn't have been enough. Now Louis will guide you through the benefits for both the service technician as well as the machine operator.
Thanks, Chandru, for guiding us through the app. Now, entire service cases can be solved by using Revis alone. Identifying the problem is much faster now, traveling is often avoided, and getting additional expert help can be easily done within a few clicks in the app. Now we save time and money, which can amount up to 90% in extreme cases. Most importantly, our solution allows servicing firms to reduce the time that they need per service case, so that their technicians are able to solve more cases in the same amount of time. Additionally, the long trips to the customer site are often avoided, allowing them to serve more clients independent of their geographic location. Machine operators, on the other hand, are able to achieve significant cost savings. These savings are driven by the substantial reduction of machine downtime and the elimination of the technician's travel costs, which are usually paid by the machine operator. Now, I'd like to hand over to Matthias.
Thanks, Luis. Considering the mechanical engineering industry as a whole, this poses a huge market opportunity. Assuming we can reduce work time by 20% and capture 15% of that value, this yields a potential market of over 2.5 billion euros globally and 330 million euros in the DACH area alone. If only 1% of all service technicians in Germany in that industry would use our app, we would earn revenues of over 2.7 million euros. So how do we make money? We plan to launch Revis as a software as a service offering for service technicians. Our monthly subscription fee per technician amounts to 99 euros and includes an unlimited number of calls and access to all the features that we just saw. The service is free of charge for machine operators when they use it as part of a service case with a paying technician. With that, we would like to wrap it up. I'm happy to answer your questions and welcome you later tonight at our virtual session where you will be able to solve your first remote servicing case. We are Revis and reimagining the way machines are serviced. Thank you.
Thank you for your pitch. Now let's start right into Q&A with a first question from the audience, which is, why are you not using AR, so artificial reality glasses, instead of a smartphone?
This question is pretty simple to answer, but it's still a good question. So the thing is, AR glasses are pretty expensive, and also AR glasses are really hard to use. They often work via voice control. For a machine operator, which is working mostly on the shop floor, it's an additional effort to learn how to use these things, and he already uses a smartphone, so he's pretty used to it and can easily adapt to our app.
Perfect, thank you. And now we got another question coming up, which is how do you deal with connectivity issues?
Thanks for the question. So right now we have the option to change the video quality from low to high. As part of our roadmap, we want to also implement automatic adjustment of video quality to your internet connection. And lastly, we have also seen that there are internet trends of this internet being improved, since we have seen more and more factories using IoT technologies.
Now, a lot of problems cannot be fixed remotely. How do you deal with issues where the technician actually has to go on site to fix them?
So in this cases, also our app Revis works pretty well. Our app helps to identify the issue. So definitely the right technician is sent on site. And also if the technician on site requires additional help from an expert, one guy of this company is already there and can call the expert via our app Revis and is therefore faster and the machine is running fluently again.
Another really good question coming up, which is a lot of devices use their guarantee once you try to fix them yourself. How do you deal with that, and does that affect your product?
Not really, because in the most cases it's just depending on the company how they deal this with their customer. If the company is okay with the situation that the customer fixes the machine on its own, then it's fine and there are no worries.
A lot of great video sharing and meeting products were discovered now during the COVID-19 crisis. Why should the customers use your product instead of, let's say, Zoom?
Thanks for the question. So Zoom is a generic video conferencing tool. In comparison, we are focusing specifically on remote machine servicing, so our features and usability are tailored towards machine servicing.
Another very critical question. What if something goes wrong and someone gets hurt when fixing the product?
So in this case, there are security regulations prepared by the service technician, and also the service technician has to guide the machine operator really through the process. So that's also a part where the service technicians have to have a good tutorial and have to explain it very well that nothing happens.
Following up on an earlier question, what if spare parts are needed? Do Revis technicians come on site then?
So in the majority of all cases, the spare parts are just very small and inexpensive parts, which the customer can actually buy in advance due to a lot of wear and tear. It's only in rare cases that really expensive spare parts need to be delivered, and that can also be done with express shipping overnight, for example. So actually, we would ship most of the spare parts in advance, and it's very predictable for most of the cases which spare parts are needed. So we could provide instantaneous service, and the customer would have the spare parts at their location directly.
Thank you for all your questions. Now, this is the end of the Q&A, but we would invite you to join our virtual Zoom sessions later on if you have more questions. Now, I would like to introduce Julian, Chief Product Officer at Remberg, to share his impressions on working with the team. Julian?
Yeah, can you hear me? Awesome. So yeah, first of all, I want to give out a big thanks to the Revis team and also CDTM for the terrific work and the great collaboration from day one to this final design fair. And I can speak for the whole Remberg team that we very much enjoyed working together with you and seeing the weekly progress you made from the first steps of market research to building and now demoing your product, which is very impressive. And yeah, we at Remberg are really happy with the results, mainly due to two reasons. One is because it's very well aligned with our core purpose of enabling better industrial service. And secondly, because of the tremendous potential the solution has for the under-digitized manufacturing Mittelstand. So we're very happy that from here we will finalize the plan with the MPD team on bringing this to the market, because already as we introduce you to some of our customers, we have a lot of customers now asking for the solution to use it in their daily business. And for that, and also for a lot of other challenges that we are having at Rembrandt in the future of growth, of course, I want to say that we're growing the team and are looking for great additions to Rembrandt. So please also reach out to us if you're looking to become a member of the Rembrandt family, which we call the Rembear, our mascot. So we all are Rembrandts as the team Rembrandt to enable better industrial service together with us. So thanks again. Thanks a lot to Team Revis and you, CDTM, for making this possible together with us.
Thank you, Julian, for your feedback. Also, congratulations to you and the entire team behind Remberg for making it to the top 10 fastest growing startups in Germany last week. We're excited to see how you're going to drive digitization in Germany. Now we're moving to our next team, who has partnered with a very young CDTM startup, Pina. Together, they're trying to tackle one of the biggest problems at our times, and they will tackle it at the roots.
Climate change is the single largest challenge we're currently facing. It leads to forests dying because of extreme dryness and insect plagues. Consequently, forest owners face rising maintenance costs. And meanwhile, they can't make up for those lost profits by selling timber, as the wood price is at an all-time low. If one of the 2 million forest owners in Germany would now go ahead and look for other ways to finance their forest, they might come up with a promising solution. They could increase the amount of carbon their forest captures, for example, by planting different trees or cutting down fewer trees. And this additional CO2 can then be sold to companies on something called the carbon credit market. However, forest owners in Germany do not have access to this market. And even if they had, it would cost up to 50,000 euros only to get certified, because it's still a labor-intensive and manual process. Even worse, it would take up to 6 months only to get started. And that's time and money that could be spent on saving the forest. So our solution to this, Maauni. What we do is we unlock the carbon credit market to forest owners.
The process is quite simple. Measure, capture, get paid. But let me guide you through the specifics on our product demo. Now imagine you're a forest owner. For quite some time now, your forest has given you more cost than it has earned. So you decide to register with Maauni. You start with your forest by adding it to the registration. With just a few clicks, we're already at least 1 month ahead of the traditional process. It is now that we can measure how much your forest currently binds and calculate how much more it could capture. Let me show you how we leverage technology to achieve these complex calculations within no time. We use user information to retrieve satellite images of your forest. We can easily verify the boundaries of your land. We use machine learning and computer vision algorithms to determine the volume of your forest. We can complement our two-dimensional satellite images with depth measurements from satellite microwaves to accurately determine the volume of your trees. By now, we're at least 4 months ahead of the traditional process, and the forest owner has saved up to 50,000 euros. Turns out, your forest is a great asset to fight climate change. And with Maauni's help, we can capture up to 120 tons of CO2 additionally, increasing your revenue by 10%. With your forest registration done, we list it in our marketplace and companies can buy your credit.
So let me wrap up our 3 key benefits for you. We simplify the prior complex process of certification, reduce its time to less than a day, and minimize costs for the forest owners to almost zero. Now, let me talk about our business opportunity. Over the last years, the voluntary carbon credit market has been growing at a staggering rate of almost 90% annually.
By 2023, we expect it to reach 294 million tons, compensated by forestry projects. 10% of those are sold to German companies, amounting up to 30 million tons. Within the first 3 years, we aim to capture 5% of that market. This means serving a demand of companies worth 28 million euros. We charge companies 19 euros per ton. The biggest chunk of those revenues will go back to forest owners. And with this valuable proposition, we think that we can target 12% of the 2 million forest owners in Germany by 2023.
So time is now and the market is ready. Here's how we differentiate ourselves. Firstly, by offering daily monitoring, companies can transparently communicate their investments to all of their stakeholders. Secondly, our carbon credits stem from regional projects. And thirdly, the carbon credits we sell are more cost efficient than those of all our competitors. This clearly shows that we want the money to go where it's mostly needed, to the forests. Within this year, our developers will finish the development of our core technology with 10 pilot forest owners. Certifying our process with the TÜV and the Ministry for the Environment will ensure the valuable company trust that we need for market entry. Having the validated business model, we will expand to Austria and Switzerland by 2022. But of course, we want to take Maauni global in order to maximize the climate impact that we can potentially have. Thus, by 2023, we want to be active in most European countries and capture additional 5 million tons of CO2. We are the team behind Maauni, and we want to help the globe achieve its goal to become carbon neutral using natural resources. Now, you can try it out yourself. Just take out your phone, scan this QR code, and find out more about your own carbon footprint. This will allow you to be one of the first to plant a tree with Maauni.
Thank you very much, Team Maauni. Great to hear how you're planning to tackle climate change. Now we're again ready to take some questions from the audience. And the first question is, why are you not taking part in the existing carbon credit market?
Thanks for that question. So it comes down to three things, essentially. So first, the current certification doesn't target the forest owners in Germany, so they're excluded. Second, the existing structures simply just take too long, up to 6 months, as we said. And also, there's various middlemen in there. So if you would invest as a company into forestry, 10 euros, 7 euros would be lost on the way to the forest owner. So that's why we're not tackling that market.
The next question is more on the technical side. How do you know how much carbon one tree actually captured?
All right, so actually we use machine learning algorithms to determine that. So what we do is actually we take an image from above, and from the part that you can see from above, you can actually see approximately how tall that tree would be, how wide it would be. And if we then take into account what kind of tree that is, we can then accurately determine how much carbon was bound by one tree.
And another interesting question coming up. When you sell the extra CO2 you find on the market, how do you make sure you're not cutting down the tree right after that?
Yes, so that's a great question. What we do is by monitoring the forest that we're partnering with on a weekly basis by satellite imagery, we can prevent this kind of fraud, which is sadly very common in projects that are across the world, for example, in South America.
Again, coming more to the technicalities of a product, what is the minimum forest size I can register with that you can measure?
So in theory, there's no limit on how much we can measure from. Our satellite images are able to go up to 7 centimeters of resolution. So even with 1 hectare or half a hectare, we could start measuring how much volume your forest has.
And now one final question. How does your process address the actual certification for carbon markets?
Yeah, also very, very good question. What we are not doing is taking part in the existing compliance, voluntary compliance market for carbon credits, and not taking part in the existing voluntary carbon credit market, because we think, as explained, that those have standards that have severe issues. That's why we use our own technology to verify the biomass and thereby how much CO2 each tree captures, and thereby have a standard that serves the need of the market.
Thank you very much for all the questions, and thanks for the answers, Team Maauni. Now we would like to welcome your project partner, Florian Finke, who's co-founder of PINA, on the screen. Florian himself has been a CDTM alumnus, and we're interested in hearing what his view on the project is.
Thank you, Florian. It seems though as if your audio didn't quite get through to all of our audience. So anyways, let me extend a compliment to you as well. We've talked with the team and they really enjoyed working with you as well. Being a recent CDTM graduate and going through MPD yourself, your advice has really helped them to take the most out of this course. And with this, we are ready for the final pitch of tonight. Celonis is undoubtedly one of the most exciting startups in Munich. They are most known for process mining, but their platform can do so much more than that by now. In our final pitch, let's see how our students leverage their platform to solve one of the longest standing issues of finance departments.
Imagine a friend asks you to borrow some money. Either that friend will pay you back, or you will have to run after that friend to collect your money. Sales departments of large companies find themselves in a similar situation. They sell their goods and allow customers to pay on a later date. And just as you need to run after friends to collect your money, companies need to run after customers to collect their money. The people responsible for collecting the money work in the accounts receivable department. Yet the biggest challenge that they face is inefficient communication. They spend 6 hours every day sending emails to the customer, to the manager, to the sales department, over to the manager, all to collect that money. It's an endless circle of running after people. This inefficient way of managing the money collection costs large companies $165 million every year. This is why we started Collectar. We help companies collect their money faster.
To do that, we enable efficient communication between the 3 key users in the accounts receivable department: executives, managers, and specialists. A challenge which slows down the process of collecting money is a customer disputing an invoice by claiming something not to be right. To show you how our key users tackles disputes by using Collectar, we start off with the manager. He aims to identify the reasons for disputes and wants to know how to support his team.
This is the view of a manager. We're currently looking at the invoice disputes feature. The manager can see that the executive has set the target to reduce the average time to collect the money. On the right, the manager sees the top reasons for disputed invoices. Understanding why a customer refuses to pay an invoice is the first step for faster money collection. In the team overview, the manager gets a live feed of all team member performance. It seems that Max has requested help on the following invoices. The manager can select all 3 invoices and support Max by adding them to his to-do list. Now, the manager has specific targets and knows how to support his team without countless emails.
Next, let's check out how Max, the specialist, takes recommended actions to manage customer invoices faster.
This is the specialist view, where Max can see all his assigned customers. The intelligent priority indicators show Max which invoice to focus on first. Recommended actions for this particular invoice appear on the right. As the customer claims there has been a price change, Max should contact the sales department and make sure the claim is true. Our seamless communication function automatically generates a customized email template. With a click, Max sends out the request. Using Collectar, a specialist knows exactly what invoice to focus on and which actions to take. With our automatically generated email, managing one customer invoice takes seconds instead of hours.
Lastly, the executive can view the overview of the department and set new targets for their strategy. After only 1 month, the time to collect money has been reduced by 15 days. The executive can visualize the cash collection progress and sees that her target was reached by the department, all by using Collectar. We provide our customer with 3 unique benefits. First, Collectar allows you to streamline your targets across the department to achieve your goals. Second, we provide you with seamless communication that lets you interact with the right people. Lastly, our individualized workflows provide users with database suggestions on tasks to take on.
How do these 3 key differentiators fit into the market? The market for accounts receivable solutions is worth more than $1.7 billion. We target companies with revenues larger than $1 billion, which are located in the North American, European, and Asian Pacific market. After the end of year 3, we aim to obtain 5.7 million. Our key enabler to achieve this is our unique relationship with Celonis. We offer Collectar on the Celonis App Store, which gives us immediate access to our customers and 75% of the revenues. Talking about revenue streams, we first charge an onboarding fee that covers the setup and customization, which amounts to about $30,000. Secondly, we charge a monthly fee depending on the number of customers that the customer has, which amounts to about $26,000. With all of this in mind, how do we position ourselves on the market? Based on our focus on large companies and their entire department, we place ourselves on the top right of these 2 dimensions.
This interdisciplinary team is committed to making Collectar the #1 management application for faster cash collection. Bring your cash collection to the next level with Collectar.
Thank you, Team Collectar. The first question from the audience concerns the recommended actions we've seen. How are they being generated?
In the case of disputes, we categorize different dispute reasons and map the recommended actions. Usually companies have playbooks that help them with the process. So instead of a Word document with several pages, everything will be integrated in our app, which also justifies the customization and setup pricing we offer.
And the next question from the audience is, how do you solve the issues why a bill was not paid?
So normally we see this problem in this KPI, day sales outstanding, which means that the bill is not paid, basically this. And then we have different recommendations which we give our user. This is, for example, reaching out to our customer or to their customer, and this can easily be done via our platform.
You introduced the role of a specialist. Wouldn't it be possible with your product to automate revenue generation altogether and actually get rid of the specialist?
That's a great question. There are, as you can see, a couple of things that we can do automatically and set trigger processes in the back end, such as a wrong address. However, there are certain industries, like the construction industries, where they take an invoice and strike it through and ask you to come up with a new invoice. And in those cases, you simply need human interaction. So there are some cases, but there are definitely others where you need to talk to the customer and figure it out.
And next up is a question. I know your team has discussed a lot internally. Can your product integrate with other enterprise software, or can it only be used by Celonis customers?
We offer our application on the Celonis App Store, which makes us dependent on our partnership with Celonis.
A direct follow-up question to that one. Do you plan to become a standalone product in the future?
So that's a really interesting question. For now, we are using our partnership together with Celonis, and what the future holds for us, we're happy to discuss with you in our networking session. But thank you very much for that question.
And now we got the final question for today. Are the numbers and the facts in your presentation just assumptions, or are they real proven figures?
We're talking with different industry partners. We have figured out that this is totally possible. And if you would like to see the results of our business case, you could take it to the next Q&A section. Thank you.
That's it from the Q&A for today. As always, if you have more questions, we'll unlock the virtual sessions shortly, and then you can join and ask the teams all the questions that you still have in your mind. Now, as a final project partner of today, I'm happy to welcome Michael Sodermin, Senior Project Manager at Celonis, on the screen. I'm curious what he has to say about working with the team. Michael.
Thank you, Michael. And thanks, Marina, Simon, Xavi, Max, and Remy. I am super happy to have worked with you, and congratulations on Collectar. When you guys started end of April, our new technology product, the opportunity to build those operational apps, wasn't even announced yet. So back then, making use of it was a bit of a mess. I was happy to see how quickly you picked up on the essence of our technology, dug into the area of corporate finance, and built upon all this with your own use cases and solutions. Now, what you built there is really so good and thought through that we want to integrate this in our offering, as it is already so well integrated, and strive to provide it as an add-on module to our end customers, because we are convinced that Collectar will bring real additional value to them. I also appreciate actually really the MPD's project setup. We could basically have 5 product managers and had the advantage that they can look at all this from a totally fresh eye perspective and really challenge our status quo from an outsider view. And so for us, it was awesome to have the first ever real world test with a team that is sort of external, so we can learn, while still being able to communicate so like relaxed and open with each other that we could really move super quickly. Really appreciated that. And after this project, I'm actually now for sure not surprised anymore why so many CDTM students managed to start working at Celonis. So Collectar team, I wish you 5 all the best. And yeah, looking forward to see you at the internal presentation to all of Celonis soon.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your insights. Now, quite a few of you probably know what the structure of the CDTM is and how the CDTM is run. It's mainly run by 10 doctoral students, so 10 CAs, which we are currently also hiring for. So if you're interested, check out our website. But also, we have the task forces working together with the CAs, and the task forces are the students behind the CDTM. The task forces make sure the kind of day-to-day activities run and events are organized, and all of this, what you see, can be made happen. But then also, there are 20 board professors who are supporting us. 20 board professors and 2 scientific directors. The scientific directors are there to support us on more kind of pressing issues and help us with the organization. One of them you will see now, and he will wrap up the evening. Today we got Albrecht Schmidt, who is a professor at LMU, joining us, and you'll shortly see him summing up the night.
Hello, it's good to be on, at least virtually, and I'm pretty impressed how smooth it worked even with the small glitches. I think we have seen a lot of ideas how digital transformation happens, and I think probably many of us have seen a lot of these transformations happen over the last 3 months, probably much faster than we expected due to Corona. And I think a lot of things we were experimenting with, like doing virtual things, we have gone now, yeah, they have gone mainstream as we have seen today, and things work. And I'm really impressed with the 6 pitches we heard. And they are very much showing that the digital transformation is not something that sort of is optional. I think we are just seeing this is going to happen. And what I really like is sort of that we see with MPD, it will not take an enterprise with 100 people, 1,000 people to do some innovations. So a small team of dedicated people, clever people, can really make a big difference. And so I think going through them again, it's really all parts of life. So I think if you remember back, sort of in the first 3, we had sort of going backwards, things about crime. I think this is sort of not a very digital area yet. Things are coming, and I think what I really like with the presentations, it is we can grasp that this is not something that's really hard to see, that it's transforming the whole way we work. Also, the doctor's waiting room, I think this is sort of one of the things people have been talking about, but I think what we've seen in that presentation, it can be realized, it can be made. So I'm really curious to see how these things happen. I think the first thing, what I really liked was sort of having this so simple on the interface. And I think this is one of the themes that for me really pushed through this. So simplicity for the end user. It's not simplicity in how we build the things, how the things are done, but I think really seeing that users don't really want to make or want to think about things. Users want to just use it. And I think looking at the first one, if I buy a pair of shoes and it's just a click away and 40 cents to be carbon neutral, I can do something. And I think that's one of the things I've learned with CDTM over the last 2 years is if people want to change the world, they have to create organizations. And I think creating organizations changes the world. And I think if you want to have a climate neutral world, I think one way is to do it is really to create organizations like what we saw in 1 or also in 5, in the presentation 5. You have to offer people the opportunity to do it, not just to go out and say, I would like to do. You have to give people options to do it. So I really liked that part, that we have seen things which are on the end user side really, really simple. And coming from my profession, being sort of in human-computer interaction, I really like that this is now sort of going everywhere, that people are understanding that don't make me think. So the user is very clear. The user doesn't want to sort of have complex things. And I think this is for me a theme. And traditionally we have said Germany cannot do that. Germany is usually on the over-engineering side and the simple things come from somewhere else. And I think what we've seen a proof of with the pitches today, that also people in Germany can do the simple things. They may have a lot of complexity in the back end, but simple to the end user. Going through the last three, I think the machine repair, and I really liked the question on the AR. The machine repair with wearable computing has been a theme for a long time, but it hasn't happened. And I think what I really liked with the pitch, you just took it on and you said, okay, people have mobile devices. People have the last 3 months shown that they can use them. Just push it in there, go in there. And I think that's a really good spirit to really try to now take this wave that has started with the Corona lockdown and push it on. I think, yeah, living in the countryside for most of the time, the forest thing was very, very interesting to see, to really highlight that with the current structures, there's a lot of middlemen, which basically make a lot of things less sensible. And digital technologies can cut out the middleman. And I think that's a beautiful example to do that. And the final one we had, I think, on money collection. I think it's a very simple problem if you see it, but also the solution seems very simple. But this is one of the hard things. Having a simple problem, everybody understands. You don't need a long time and you have a simple solution. So, and getting this into a system workable is quite cool. So for me, I think looking at these 6 cases, I'm really impressed how quickly you got it. And I haven't really add up all the numbers, but if you see the numbers, it's not a small business, it's like a big business. And I think if I would have the chance in investing in some of them, I would not hesitate. And I think with this, I'm going back to Teresa and Michael at Plug and Play.
This now marks the end of our first virtual design fair. Despite some small technical difficulties, we hope we managed to keep up our promises and that you enjoyed the event. On a final note, we'd like to thank everyone who's been involved in this digital journey. First of all, a massive thank you to the class, who's been keeping up the good vibes during late-night Zoom sessions, but also making the best out of the situation.
Secondly, we want to thank our project partners that supported our teams despite the additional workload these uncertain times brought about.
Thirdly, we'd like to thank all the lecturers and coaches that gave valuable input to the class. We know running interactive sessions via Zoom is sometimes not ideal, but thank you so much for making it possible.
Fourthly, we want to thank everyone, students to alumni, who supported the production of this event, despite a busy exam period. We couldn't have made it without you.
And last but not least, thanks to all of you who joined us here tonight.
Now, to finish off, the students reminded me to give a shout out to the product demos that you will be able to see and interact with in the virtual sessions. Now is the time to head over to www.cdtm.de/livestream. After you reload the page, you will be able to access their landing pages and get the access credentials for those virtual sessions. That's it from us.